Hello, and let's start with an audio check, because I am ED-SKaR and I always get audio wrong. Today I have just had the vaccination, so if I fall over and just feel awful, I may stop the stream early. However, I do have quite a few things that I want to get done. I'm actually not feeling too bad. I don't think it's hit yet. So this is, of course, my Grimdark Railway, which we have worked on quite a few times over the past few months, and the carriage is at the point where I'm just about done. I just want to put a few more details on the roof, and I'll sort out the kind of servitor driver thing for the front. I also have an alternate version I want to make for my heavy weapons team bases. So I've been 3D printing some bases with removable smaller bases. Big bases with removable smaller bases for the heavy weapons team. And I want to do an alternate version to make it a little bit easier to print, because some of them have come out a little wonky. I also have this. Is a little something. This is a shield for a 28mm model, and I'm just going to put a little decal on the front. And I also have Hello Miss Minilife. I think I missed my audio check, so can you confirm that you can hear me and the music? And of course I have my painting handle. I'm actually not doing any work on myself, but there's someone else who's done some work that I think goes very nicely with this. And I think as soon as someone confirms that they can hear me, I will jump into that first. Or if someone says that they can't hear me. Oh, okay, fine. I'll just continue on and pretend like you can hear me. So, if anyone has been watching my videos recently or watched my live streams a few months back, this is my massively overcomplicated painting handle. Can't hear the music. Well, let's turn the music up a little bit. Ooh, maybe not that much. Let's see about that. It's a bit loud for me. Hopefully it'll be okay for you guys. Yeah, so this is my overcomplicated painting handle, and specifically I had the original version which you just glued the model to, or you put blue tack on it. I have made an alternate version for a magnet, and I have made an alternate version with a clamp for standard bases, and this is what I'm currently using. I think this is pretty much how I want it to be, and I'm quite happy with this design. However, this holds on to 25mm and 32mm mini bases. That is most of what most people will probably be wanting to paint individually. However, if I bring up this piece of work by Jacoquillin. Yeah, I think I'm on a minute's delay on this stream. I'm just going to pop that. I'm gonna split the difference and put it there, and hopefully that'll be a sensible volume. Thank you, Minilife, for helping me out with that. So this, by pronouncing names is hard, is a head-holding adapter for painting handles. This came out of Eons of Battle, did a video recently where they just painted some heads. It's like, hey, like whenever you paint a mini, you paint the face, and faces are the hardest part. So for the sake of practicing, why not just paint 10 heads? Painting 10 heads is the same amount of effort as painting a whole model, but by painting just the faces and heads, you're actually going to improve your skills with painting faces, so the next time you paint a full model, you paint the face better. And it's kind of awkward moving these. Hello, Socially Supreme, welcome. And it's kind of fiddly and annoying moving these tiny things around, and so Jacoquillin, Jack-o'-lantern, designed this, which is simply a disc with some slots on the top to put heads. and quickly worked out that you could actually put other things as well. So this is something that's really useful for... Let me just leave it on that. The music is gone again. What? Alright, last chance. There. That's it. If whatever the music is at now, that's it. We'll just do this stream with no music. I'll turn the whole thing off. Yeah, so I think this is a really useful piece, because if you build a model in sub-assemblies, and I do often do that, you want to keep track of all the bits. And so if you printed a couple of these, you put the model on a standard base and you put all of the sub-assemblies on this thing, then you've got just two things you need to put next to each other on your pile of opportunity, your shelf of unpainted stuff, and you can keep track of it a lot easier. So this is a good idea, and when I do eventually publish this, I'm going to leave a link. I'm going to put a link to that design in my listing for this. I can't sell that because it's not my work, it is someone else's work, but I think it is a synesthetic design. It works well together. Did the same for some towel heads. Cool. Yes, we got the music perfect. Excellent. Okay, that's that done. I just wanted to mention that at the top of the stream. Let's have a look at... I mean, now that was a quiet song, so now we're going to go into a really loud song, and it's going to ruin everything. So, shall we do the shield, the emblem for the shield, or shall we do the base first? I want to end on the train, just because I want to give myself the opportunity of not finishing it again, because I never finish it. Let's do the base. So this is a base with a slot for another base. In fact, two in this case, just because there's enough room. So what this is for heavy weapons teams for Imperial Guard, and the loader can be put on a standard 25mm base that fits in the slot and can be removed, which is useful for keeping track of how many hits units have taken. When you've got a whole army, it's kind of, do you put a die on it? Do you put a marker on it? Well, why not just remove the loader completely? And that's what this is for. However, and I'm not sure if this is going to show up well on this camera, but can you see that top edge is not exactly circular? And also on this piece, it's not it's got a lumped edge, particularly here on the outer edge and here on the inner edge. It doesn't print very well because it's such a big disc. Even printing it at an angle, you end up with lumpy and unpleasant bits. So what I think, if I was to make the design as a semicircle so that you print off two semicircles, you could then print them off, and the messy, gnarly bits would be on the inside, so when you glue it together, you don't have that problem. Currently building a gaming board, 1/2 meter by 3/4 meter, 52 by 74. So oddly specific numbers. A lot of green paint. A lot of green paint. You know what? I built a board once. Built in 20 years of playing all sorts of things. Actually, that's not true. I guess I've built a lot of D&D like grid stuff. I don't like the grid stuff, but I've done a lot of tiles and rooms and villages and stuff. But other than that, for kind of larger scale wargaming, I've only actually done the one board. I should certainly fix that at some point, but that's not for this stream. That is for another stream. So let's actually go to our very original sketch. Hide this thing. And we can rotate this out by... select the center axis. So I want to print half of this, not the whole thing. So instead of 360, obviously we want 180. There you go. Quick maths. I also need a kerf? Kerf is not the right word. I need the I need to make the equivalent of a kerf. So a kerf is like when you saw through a piece of material, like if you're sawing through a piece of wood, for example, the thickness of the saw blade will be removed from the material. So if you start off with 100mm long piece of wood and your saw blade is 5mm thick, your two pieces of wood will total 95mm. They'll actually be shorter than the total was at the beginning. And I need to do the same here because 3D printers don't often agree, and there will probably be some overlap. So if I was to make this in the software perfectly exactly half, then when it was printed, it would probably actually be more than half because it's going to over-cure around the edges. Now, I've done a lot of testing with FDM printers, particularly my one, to work out how much smaller or bigger I need to make stuff, but I haven't with my SLA printer. I do know that it exists because some stuff I've made hasn't fit. So I'm just going to kind of guess. So if I make just a cut of -0.5mm, and we've ended up with some leftovers. Yuck. So if I just do things the cheaty way, -0.1mm, which should then, yep. So I've cut that away so that now the two pieces will be, as far as the software is concerned, 0.2mm apart, but with the glue that you add in and also the inconsistency with 3D printing, they'll probably match up just fine. So we also want to add in the mini base. The mini base? The slot. The compartment for the smaller base thing. So I want to go. Can I please have a measurement? Please? Anywhere? Nope. Okay, it's not giving me a measurement. I guess do this with a 2-point circle. So it needs to fit a 25mm base. So it needs to be a 25.5 gap, just so there's plenty of room, so you're not scraping paint off. So a 27, yes, 27mm, and then 25.5. Good. Yes. So I can pull both of these the same distance, which is going to make sense in a moment. I want to join the whole lot up, and I actually want to cut slightly less, 4.25, so there's a slight gap between this and the actual base so that it's not interfering with the table surface. And then I want to come back with this, grab that, and minus 3.5, and then I can make that visible. So then I have my, yeah, that looks about right. This was 4.25 and this was 3.25. Here we go. So it's a millimeter thick at the bottom, which is plenty, and it's 1.5mm thick around the edge, which again should be plenty. Nice and strong. So there, print off 2 of those, glue them together, and you're done. And it saves all of the nasty print, like this edge here and this edge here will print badly, maybe these corners here, but once you glue it together, they're not going to be visible. And that's the goal. But just to make sure that they line up correctly, or rather to make sure that they're strong, I don't want to leave it just gluing a thin, tiny little edge, because remember that this is only probably 2 millimeters. It's not a lot of surface area. So if I make a tab at one side, the duplicate will have the tab at the other side, so you can glue the 2 tabs. You can glue each tab to the opposite piece, and that will make it much stronger. Is my plan, is my theory. Is my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So let's create, just to give myself an idea of where I'm working. I'm going to give myself this circle as a word thing. There are words for this. Construction circle. There we go. Oh no, I still want to be in the sketch, because that then tells me this is the total of the space. Can also work out how far out this needs to be. 1, 2, and if I also make another 2-point circle, this should be 27. Ah yes, because it has to overlap. It overlaps here, so it'll overlap here. That should also be construction. You should be construction. You should be construction. Yes. So what that does is that gives me this space here and this space here to work with. Now I can only work on one side, so I'll work on this side. Looks like that's in the middle of the screen for you guys, so I just want to make a tab here. Doesn't need to be much, but just like that kind of thing. Is that it? Is it that simple? I think it's that simple. Genuinely, I think that's all I needed to do. Well, it needs to be it needs to not be construction line. That needs to be solid line. And yeah, pull that by 1 mil. Oh, actually, if I can just pull it to there. No, I need to pull it to this height, because I don't want it to be quite the same as the bottom. Chat's gone quiet. Have I dropped off the internet? Just to keep things together in one coherent piece, let's pull. Oh, yep, can't go there. Let's go 5 point. Oh, less than 5 millimeters. When things are, Miss Mini Life asks, when things are 3D printed, what are they printed out of? What material? Now that is one of those questions with quite a few answers. The simple answer is some form of polymer, probably. However, thank you Socially Supreme for also being there. However, there's so many different types of polymer that is not a significant answer in itself. There are 4 that I know of, that I have experience with. There are 4 different types of 3D printing, because it's sort of a catch-all term for a lot of different things. Nope, I don't want to go that far. Again, that cut was just so that this slides underneath the other side, because if it was, as far as the file, if it was the same height, then when I actually print it, it would be slightly bigger and it would get stuck. So, the 4 systems that I am familiar with is powder printing, which I can't remember what it's called. I think it's plastic sinter printing. There is FDM, which is filament printing. Resin printing, or SLA, stereolithograph printing, and then there is metal sintering as well, which is really cool and is not anywhere near as capable as people think it is. So powder printing first is not very common anymore. It was probably one of the first to become widespread in industry but it's very big, unwieldy machines. It's not really something you can own at home. People do, but it's not easy for the common person. Essentially what that does is it lays a powder of essentially shredded plastic, and then it runs some form of heat over the top, sometimes in the form of a laser, sometimes in the form of other forms of light that heat up the particular shapes that you want, and then where it's heated up, it will melt into the layer below. You then put another layer of powder over the top, and you repeat that process. And so you've essentially melted lots of plastic powder into a solid lump, and when you're done, you can take that lump out, whatever it was you wanted, filter the powder, and you can reuse all the powder. FDM printing, which is probably the most common currently, you use it's a plastic, thermoplastic string that runs into the machine, and it kind of like a hot glue gun. Kind of, if you imagine a hot glue gun running around, drawing a line for every layer, and then going up slightly and drawing the next layer, going up slightly and drawing the next layer. So it melts the plastic and forms it into one lump. Metal sinter printing is the one that I'm least familiar with, and from what I understand, and this is probably one of those it's sort of right but not really statements, is that you put, again, it's kind of like powder printing but with metal powder instead of plastic powder, and you melt it together like welding. You weld it together, and then you clear out the powder, and you're left with a solid lump, I think. And like I say, I don't have much experience with metal sinter printing. The one that I have most experience with recently, and the one that most mini painters want to use, because model makers and mini painters want the smallest and finest details, is SLA, or stereolithograph printing. And that uses a UV curing resin, which I don't have to hand. Excellent. But in the same way that other types of printer work in layers, so does a stereolithograph printer. And what I can actually do is, we'll bring that over here. Oh wait, we've got, what's this model? It's Daphne. Hello, Daphne. Let's have a look at SLA printing. Hello, Foxy Mitts, and see you later, Socially Supreme. Thanks for popping by. So I can cut this at any point just to see what each layer will look like. So this is a representation of the screen, and this will be a vat that will be filled with the UV curing resin, and it will shine a UV light through here. But the screen will block off all of this area as being black so that the UV light can't come through. But this area here will let light through, and that will cure from being a liquid to being a solid. And then you do another layer, and another layer, and another layer, and another layer. And eventually you have your fully 3D printed cartoon character from the 90s. I have the others as well. I need to get around to printing those. So yes, a long and convoluted answer. It's essentially polymers in different forms, but also, is it a plastic? Is it a resin? I mean, metals aren't really polymers. Metals are completely not polymers, but let's move on. This is a shield, and if you can tell by the vast quantity of lines in it, you can tell that this has actually been turned into an STL file and then brought back into the editing software. Yeah, and short of designing it again from scratch, this kind of just something we're going to have to put up with. But I want to add in, if I construct an offset plane here, and then draw myself a sketch. So I want to draw a symbol and I want to emboss it onto the front of the shield. And actually, if I go over to hopefully this, yes, there, that side, it's mirrored. This is a cog, I guess. I've been asked to put this on the shield, so that's what I'm going to do. And this is actually somewhat of a simple geometric shape, interestingly enough, even though cogs are quite complicated. A real cog is quite a complicated thing to get the maths right on. This is quite clearly an artist's representation of a cog, not an engineer's representation of the cog, but that means it's easier for me to put it on our little shield. So what we've got in the middle is a couple of circles. We've got 4 kind of beams, an outer circle, and then we've got 8 teeth. So firstly, I want to be able to center. I don't want to center it on the shield. It's actually not symmetrical. It's symmetrical left and right, but it's, oh, wait, there we go. Right, so the shield is symmetrical left and right, but it's not symmetrical up and down. So I want to center it based on these side pieces, the side pieces here. So essentially these corners, I want to center it based on those 4 corners. So if I use project and include, which everyone will know is my favorite tool of all time, are you going to stencil over the cog? Tic Tac asks, are you going to stencil over the cog or just use it to inspire? Now, I actually can bring the image of the cog into the software, size it, and then copy it directly. I don't want to do that because if you look at the very center of the cog there, if I copy that directly and that's too small, it's not going to print properly. It's going to be a fairly shallow detail, so it's probably not a problem, but just to make sure, I want to set my sizes for how big each of these bits are going to be to make sure that it prints properly. Whereas if I copy the image, oh, actually, no, it would be much harder to use the image because that is not a straight on view. If you look closely, you can see, like, around this side, it's kind of, the image isn't taken directly square on. The image is taken from an angle. I could draw that into the software and turn it back, like, what's that called? There is a name for that. Reconstruct. I could reconstruct a 3D version of that, but that's a lot of work, and there's no reason to. But if it was a straight-on 2-dimensional sketch of it, I could bring that into the software. But some of the details in the middle might end up being a little too small. So I want to do it myself, so that I can ensure that all of the pieces are going to be big enough that they can support their own weight at the very least. Right. Now that I've got this, what I can do is hide the actual shield and just work on the details, because I brought in an extra line accidentally over here. What I can do, yeah, see you later, Tic Tac, thanks for popping by. This is the absolute largest that any part of the detail can be, because this is now touching the sides. There is space, if I just put that in and bring the shield back. It's hard to see because of all these lines, but there is actually a recess in the main part of the shield and a kind of border. So this circle just touches the border of both sides on the inside. And so this is the absolute largest that it could be permitted to be. Right, so that will be the outside of the teeth of the cog. what proportion, let's have another look at our image. Roughly what proportion of everything is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I take 5, that makes sense because this whole thing is 10 and half of it is 5. It's convenient. So actually, what I should do here, let's have a look. Ooh. And make sure I'm centered so that you can see what I'm doing. Nope, nope, let me, that one. If I make that 9, this 8. So this is our outer ring, and this is the circle that our teeth will be built in. Then I will have a 2 millimeter for our center. Yeah, that's looking about right. Actually, if I make that a little bigger, 2.5, and then I make an inner ring 1.5, because that's now a ½ millimeter ring around the whole thing. I can probably go a little bit smaller. I don't want to go much smaller than 1/4 of a mil. In fact, I don't really want to go that far either. 1.75. Let's call that the smallest we want to go, because that is now just slightly more than 1/3 of a millimeter thick. Yeah, I don't want to go smaller than that. And proportionally, that does look... You know what? I think the outer ring does need to... I think the teeth need to be bigger than the outer ring. So if I make this 8.5 and 7.5. 7.5. Boom. Yeah, that looks much closer to what I want. Right, so now we need the stems. And if we look at the center circle and where the 4 stems touch it, there's no fillets or chamfers or anything there. That is just a straight block that goes into the circle, so that's easy enough to draw simply by offsetting I can mark it out by doing this. How big does it need to be? Let's go for... Let's go for that and see how that looks. Let's also use a circular pattern on these 2 lines because I can create that. Center point there. I need 4 of them. So does that look the right size compared to that? No, I think that looks a little too big. Okay. 0.4 and make that 0.8, which is double it. Can you? Thank you. That looks pretty much how I want it to. Yeah. Happy with that. Right. Let's snip out all of these because they do actually need to. Hello? Hello? Oh. Wrong tool. There we go. I should probably make these sections just construction, but that's too sensible, far too sensible. I'm not going to do So the outside connection, so the connection between the stems and the outside ring, or the inside surface of the outside ring, these are filleted. Nowhere near as strongly as I've got here, so I can... this may be one of those times when I need to use a radius because... yeah, that's not correct. Can I move the center? No, I can't. Of course not. Of course not. That would be far too easy. Create an arc of some description. Nope. Better. In fact, how big is that? That's kind of small on here. That's compared to the length of the stem. The length of the stem here. I think I need it. I think I've got it just about right. I need to make it bigger. Bigger. Arc. Center point arc. So further away is just about there. Ooh. Nope. That doesn't work. That's not what I want. Probably should have been using spline to begin with. This is why I don't use spline. Because spline is weird. I can create all sorts of... Yes. Yes, maybe. Oh, hang on, cancel. What I should do first is mirror that feature around. Nope, I need to actually draw in a center line. Let's get a construction line through here, and then mirror that to... Nope. That over mirror line. That. Yes. Okay. Now I can rotate it. That and also that around center point of the circle. And I need 4 of them. And yes. It's working. It is working. The sound of the lack of confidence in the sound of my voice is to be ignored. I think I got that. I think I've got that how I want it to be. Because that is now all one shape. And those curves, look, they're not identical. And I'm not going to claim that they are, but stylistically correct. Next. What's next? Oh, the cog teeth. I need to actually do the cog teeth. Is everything else done? Yes. That feet, that, and that. Yes, right. cog teeth. Again, I can just build one tooth and rotate it around, so that's no problem at all. How big is it? In comparison to the center for stems, I think it's quite a bit bigger, but not actually that much bigger at the end. So if I can I get center point? Yes. Let's go for 0.5. And did you? Yes, you did. Good. Right. You did good. Which makes a change. Do I want them to have square? Yes, I do. So these cogs, interestingly, have completely flat, squared off ends, whereas the teeth on a real cog will conform to the circle, the kind of the radius of the cog at that point. But that's fine. It depends on how they're constructed. This is not a modern gear. Modern gears are constructed very differently. Wait, I need to check. So the angle of those teeth is fairly moderate. I'd say probably 15 or 20 degrees. 90, so I'll make this 105. Okay. Seriously? There we go. Good grief. And then this would then also be 15 or... Oh, you're kidding. So I'm starting at 165 and going up by 15, down by 15, so it's 100. Why do I need just... This program. Forget keeling over because of the vaccine. I'm going to keel over just for laughing at Fusion being weird again. So now I can do rotation, circular patterning for these 3 lines. The center point should of course be that, and I need 8. Oh, 6, 7, 8. Bow. Okay. And then I can snip between each of the... As long as I snip some of it so that it's the same piece, I don't have to cut the entire line away. And now, all of that should result in the shape that I was after. Yay! So let's bring back the shield and see about join, pulling it to there, and then removing all of the stuff that I don't want. And that should be fairly easy by projecting and include project and include all of these different features. I need 3 from the inner surface and I need 3 from the outer surface. Oh, wow now? You haven't seen the good bit yet. Can I get outer surface? There. Because then I can create 3-point circles on these points, which then matches the original shape. 3-point circle. 3-point circle. And in a few seconds we'll get the real wow, because I'm just doing something messy again. Oh, if I take these two, extrude as a cut through the whole thing. Oh no, why is there an error pattern? Cancel. Let's do one at a time. Cut. No! No, why? Why? Oh, this was supposed to be the cool thing. Right, so we've got the inside. Although we seem to have misjudged things slightly, and we've actually sliced a bit of the shield away, but that's fine. Alright. Let's. So I can't actually cut from the top. That sucks. That's what I could do is just shorten this down. This is not really how I want to do it, because then it's shallow in the middle and like really tall at the sides, because this shield is curved. I don't really want to do it that way. Actually, no. You know what? That's actually not too bad. What do we think? Having a flat front surface and having it kind of bigger at the sides and smaller in the middle, is that alright? Does that look good to you? Because I actually sort of like that. I like it unflattened. Well, it's currently flattened and I want it curved. Straight or curved? There you go. We're misusing the same term. Because it's currently straight. Should I curve it? Can I? Actually, now that I've moved it like this, can I just... Yeah, it still doesn't like it. Still doesn't like it. Whoop. Nope. Don't want to get rid of that. I want to get rid of that. Unflattened. What does unflattened mean? Does flattened mean like flat to the curved surface, or flat mean just completely flat? I don't know. Straight, right. Good. Straight versus curved. I am sending a picture quickly. There we go. To the person who has asked for this. It has been a very warm day. I got to go for a nice lovely ride to a place I've never been to before. And anyone knows about my travel anxiety knows that that's horrible. Yeah, I want to do it curved. There must be a way of doing it curved. Or rather, there's several ways of doing it curved. I just can't think of them. How about one thing I'm missing, I have mentioned this on other streams, when I'm usually working, I have at the bottom of the screen, oh, you can't see it, it's behind my head, let me just move my head, there, underneath there you see that line of little icons. Oh, stop moving. There you go. You see that line of little icons kind of down here, these icons here? They are every step that I've taken along the way. And so what I can do is go back and, like, I can change this. Oh, actually, that does make sense. Yeah, I can change this and make it different, and everything that happens after that is preserved. However, to work on this, because this was saved as an STL and then brought back in, I can't do that. That feature doesn't work with a rebuild of an STL. Slightly annoying, unfortunate, but it's kind of how the software works. So I can't go back without just Control Zing all the way through everything I've done. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth doing that to this point. And then pulling this through as a join. No, as a new body. Whoop. Let's try that again. So if I try this as a new body, so this is an object in the software, and the shield is an object in the software, but where join would combine them into one object, these are now two separate objects that kind of pass through each other. Think of like an out-of-phase Star Trek episode sort of thing. And what I might be able to do now is repeat that whole process of creating the front and back surface of the shield, cut it down, and I might be able to create that curved front surface that way. Maybe. Project and include. So I need 3 points on. Can I please point, and then point. You don't necessarily need to have points across the whole thing because of how because this is all done in the software. So long as you have 3 points along the circle, it will mathematically do. Can you please give me a point? Please. Give. Here we go. I can choose that one. I could, in the software, select 3 points that were right next to each other. As long as they're on the circle, the resultant circle should be correct. In real life, the closer you are together doing this kind of thing, you just are inviting inaccuracies. However, everything I'm creating here is based on the maths behind the program, and so it shouldn't be an issue. So let's create that messy box, and now let's see. That should be a cut. That is a cut. I always expect you to be able to do things in this program that this program can't do, like just grab parts with a cursor and just mold them. Well, there's a new feature. Yes! Haha! It didn't like it, but it did it anyway. There is a new. I'll show you the new feature in a. Whoop, no. How's that? Right, so that is now a curved version, and it slightly protrudes on the back. Actually, if I just grab it, I can move it by minus 0.01. Nope. Move. Minus 0.2. There we go. So smooth on the back. In fact, very smooth on the back. I think I've sliced a sliver off of the back, and there is now a rounded version of the emblem, and it is slightly protruding from the border, which I actually quite like. So what do we think? The chat, dear the chat, what do you think? Do you prefer the rounded version? And honestly, I think I prefer the rounded version. The neighbour's dog. Hello. I have I technically have 3. Batman doesn't count. But I have 2 co-presenters, the dog next door and my washing machine, that are constantly making noise when I'm trying to record or stream. So I've just sent a picture of that. So first flat, second rounded. Choose. So, verdict, the chat. I think rounded is best. Foxymit says that the rounded version does look better. And the person who wants the shield, firstly, Amethyst Quill says, hi YouTube, so, haha. But also prefers the rounded version. Miss Minilife says the rounded version is more professional looking, but the straight is more stylish. I did like the flat version. I'm surprised at the because I wasn't expecting to make the flat version, so when I saw it, it was kind of I was more annoyed that it wasn't what I wanted, but it actually did look good. But I think the rounded version is a little more, like Miss Minilife says, a little more professional looking. So now, I could export this just as it is, or I can try and use the combine tool, which I have had all sorts of trouble with in the past, and we've got some odd geometry here that's not happy, so this is definitely a bad idea. But let's go for a join and try and combine the cog, which we made as a separate piece, and the shield. Yes! Yes! It worked! We have the shield as one piece. It is a solid lump. A single piece that will print as one piece. The grammar of that sentence was awful. I'm too excited. And Foxy Mitt says, are you okay? You seem more scatterbrained than normal and chirpier. So, also that. I just had the vaccine today. I'm supposed to be feeling awful. I mean, I went for a little ride. I didn't expect that would change. That was hours ago, though. Maybe it's just because it's still daylight. Usually when I stream 7 o'clock, it's dark, but it's still daytime. I've got hours of day left. Have I been on copious amounts of caffeine? Well, no. Hail hydrate, people. Ooh, what was that? That's my background. Lovely picture. Many years ago, I made a background folder of just thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of art. And it's on a random cycle. I was going to show you something fancy. With Windows, I think it was Windows 7 introduced it, and I'm on Windows 10. You can select a folder to be your background, and just everything in that folder will just cycle randomly. And I genuinely I've added to it and added to it and added to it, and it sounds like I think I'm not going to check it because I don't want to be going around on my computer while I'm on stream, but I think I've got something like 10,000 separate images from all sorts of different places, and it will just pick one at random I think I've got it set to every minute. Every time you say you went for a ride, it sounds like someone kidnapped you. I ride a motorcycle. I ride a bike. Ride or die. Bad boys for life. What you gonna do when they come for you? So this create form is the new thing that I've been playing with. I have no real understanding of how it works, and so I'm just gonna, the way he rides, someone would probably think he's kidnapped someone. Well, unless someone fits in my rucksack, which is quite small. So this is the create form tool in Fusion 360 that I have not had enough time to play with, but you sort of can just grab a bit and like stretch it, and you like, how do I make it not symmetrical? There you go. Nope. Oh, nope, that's the wrong tool. That's adding. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing here. I should be able to select a surface. Oh, select one surface and then edit form, pull it, and then I can select another one here, and I can push that in. I can pull one there and push that in. I can, like I say, I don't know enough to actually be able to make anything useful out of this. I made a mountain range. There you go. I've made a mountain range. Excellent. But this is something I want to play around with. I need to learn it off stream before I can do anything on stream. But this is the tool where you just like grab that and move it and make weird shapes. And this is good for faces, hands, plants, aliens, humans, this kind of stuff. But yeah, do not save. Get rid of that. Our shield is done. We have done our shield. What time is it? It's 8 o'clock. I've been in. We've been going for an hour. I'm okay to carry on. I'm feeling all right. So let's finish up the train, which is very, very nearly finished. I wanted to do just a bit of detail on some of the surfaces that kind of look empty. Actually, this is kind of alright now. And I want to replace this with, because we decided last week that this would be the front of the train. So I want to make a cogitator, servitor, driver, machine driver thing. Words are fun. To go here, and actually what I want to do is probably select that and just make it invisible, go away, because you look awful. That was supposed to be, like this bit here, it was supposed to be some wires, and it doesn't look like wires to me, so we can get rid of that. Let's start again. So I want a... Do I want a skull? I can't make a skull. This is definitely the sort of thing in 40k that would have a skull in. I'm not going to make a skull. I want this to be generic enough that it can be used in other settings as well. Let's just go for a HAL 9000 eyeball. I'm sorry, I can't do that, Dave. Levels of eyeball. But then also an overlapping minor sensor here, just as a focusing lens or a range finding lens or whatever. Hey, none of this is specific. This is all very, very generic kind of shapes. This is my project that I've kind of just gone off and done stuff. I'm not even really paying attention to the maths on this project anymore. Let's join. Yep, that'll do it. Maybe that's why I felt better doing that first one, because I was actually doing maths. Hey, can I select? Let me. Oh, right, I know what I can do. If I make the carriage invisible, bang, then I can select the circles, then I can make the carriage visible again, because this is a thing that we do. 0.75 and join. And then I round off these edges with a nice bit of a fillet. 0.25 fillet. 0.5 fillet. Yes. And then also, is 0.5 too much for this? It is. Let's go for 0.25. Yeah, that looks better on the smaller circle. Smaller fillet. Makes sense. I have an embarrassingly large number of sketches on this. There should not be anywhere near this many sketches on a part. It is quite a complex part in terms of the number of features. Oh, it's out of frame. There we go. I'll try and work on this side of the screen. Let's have a speaker as well. Yeah, like a horn, or a kind of like you get on trains and other vehicles. You get a warning horn thing. Although this is intended to be driven. Do you drive trains? Yes, you drive trains. This is intended to be driven above ground level, so there shouldn't be much in the way of. Can I make a center point rectangle? Yes. There we go. I was saying something and I have no idea what it was. No idea. It was just a thing I was saying. Tannoy. Tannoy! Maybe a tannoy. So we've got options here for... This works with circular and rectangular patterns. I've got rectangular pattern because I want to make 3 slots in a line to make a tannoy or speaker system. And we can see here that this says One Direction, and apparently they make music, but I want to go for a symmetric dot 5. No, I don't want 5 because I want to cut off. I want to round off the outer surface. So let's make it. Let's just make it 3, and bring them in a little bit. That'll be enough. That'll be fine. And pull this by. Yep, finish sketch. This could actually be pulled by quite a bit more. Yep, about there. About there, about this much. That's the level of precision I'm going for in this. Oh. Yeah. Let's find that sketch at the bottom of my long list of sketches. And scroll all of the way up so that I can make my carriage visible. Oh, you join. What? Join. Yes, good. Visible carriage. Visible carriage. Cut. There we go. Speaker thing. That look like a speaker thing? Oh, I've destroyed chat. Chat is back. Take the skull from the Ordo Redactus sigil. So, as Foxymits points out, I have my Ordo Redactus rosette, which we use in the Back to the Brush podcast for Back to the Brush related things, for correcting all of the mistakes that Foxymits pretends that we make. However, for making this, I made the eye kind of the backing for the symbol, but the skull itself is not mine. And so if I was to use a skull on this, I would need to find a skull emblem that specifically was plot. What do you mean plot? There was a plot? I haven't lost it. I never had it. Good grief. What am I talking about? Skulls. Yes. So if I was to use a skull in this, I would have to find someone who's made a skull and has put it up for with permission to be used commercially, because I intend to sell my train as a model train kit on probably Cults 3D, maybe some other websites. And so if I'm including someone else's work, I have to make sure that permission is there. Thank you, Miss Mini Life, for popping by. I will see you again sometime soon. We need to talk about doing that collab again, or at all. But yeah, see you around. Thanks for popping by. Let's get rid of that sketch. How hard is it to make a skull? Very hard. That's what the form object tool would be good for. Like organic shapes, that's what it does. But as I alluded to earlier, I don't know how to use it. Yeah, that's fine. That works. Yep, that's good. That's good. Maybe let's just add in a panel line here. yes. It's a little bit lacking here. Maybe I can just continue this panel line down the entire thing. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm looking for large flat surfaces. So I want to make sure that there's detail, there's stuff on as much of this as I can. So I think this is the largest shape now. I've already done panel lining on this surface here. So I've got the panel kind of gaps here. So I want to do something different. I've got air vents. I've got a lot of control panels on this thing. Probably an unnecessary amount. Maybe a sliding shutter. So if I draw a repeating... no, let's kind of draw a slotted box at the top and then some repeating stuff, and I can use my rectangular pattern on that and go, let's make 4. Sure, that works. And then pull all of this, finish sketch. No, not new body, join. Oh no, that doesn't work at all. I need it to be... what? That's not what I said. That is exactly what I said. It's not what I meant. 0.25, yes, right. There we go. Detail, gribbly stuff. And then I just need to add some stuff to the top. Given that this is kind of, when you're, if you do use this as tabletop terrain, you're probably going to be looking at it while standing around a table. So this angle, or maybe this angle, is how you're going to see it. So the top is going to be visible. Let's make, tell you what, let's make a, let's all of this to be invisible first. Did you join us? Ah. No, sketch. On that, give me sketch. So if I make a center line through this whole thing, I should be able to fairly easily make a... How do I do this? Just like a crenelle sort of shape, like that, as not construction line. And how far is that? That is... Let's make it 2 millimeters to actually make it a sensible number. And then let's repeat this pattern. That, and that. Every 2 millimeters. One direction. Spacing. So if I select spacing, I should be able to select 2 millimeters as my spacing, and then I can just increase this until it hits the other side. 50, 51, 52. It's close enough. Okay. And then also, if I just extend the end, and I also have to join up the end with the center line. I think actually I'm going to have to draw an entire line down the center line, because this has to be a complete two-dimensional shape with no gaps. Boom, there we go. So now if I take this, can you not be upside down? Thank you. And then revolve that shape around that axis 180 degrees. I get a stripy tube, a stripy pipe. Sure, that's fine. Let's go with that. Let's round off the edge. Wow. Okay, maybe not quite that round. One, yes. I think that end looks a little better. But I don't have to go for exact. We're not doing science here. We're not doing... Actually, that does look... I like that. I like that a lot. That was so simple to make. I'm surprised at how well that worked. Huh. Cool. So now I want to do something here-ish. Given we've got the air vent... Given we've got the air vent system here, I could make a little box, as long as I don't go too high. I've got a little bit of space to work with. Let's make everything above invisible. Now let's make a little connection thing, sort of stuff. Just to imply that there's stuff going on. Now, did you? Yes, you did. I want join, not new body, please. What's this? Join. Hello, David Bolak, who suggests an access hatch. Well, I've got an access hatch, and I've got another access hatch. And I've got... Didn't I have another access? I've got the main door. And I've got this shuttery thing here. I could probably do another access hatch. I thought I had another access hatch. I had three. I thought I had three. Oh, of course, it was here, and I had to... No, it wasn't on the door. It was here. It was underneath the coupling. When I made that, it was like here, so I had to delete it. Yeah, so I've got two little kind of... They're more service access. It's like you access circuitry or something here. This is not big enough for a person to get in or out. So actually having an escape hatch like in the movies would probably be more interesting. Nope. What if I chamfer? Let's get some chamfers up in here. Roof hatches are a genre staple, says David, and I absolutely agree. They are. And so as soon as I'm done with the... I actually think I need to go all the way around with my chamfer. Where was my chamfer there? 2 mil. Do I chamfer the inside of this? Because that's awfully thin. I think I'm going to just pull that to here and then chamfer this. But I think I'm going to have to chamfer this much smaller. Because if I yeah, it's not liking the 2 mil chamfer, but a smaller chamfer, yeah, that looks alright. Does that need anything else? And it just implies that stuff connects up. Yeah, I think that's good. The chamfer is a heck of a lot bigger than this. I just did a much smaller chamfer on that, so, but that's fine. Let's go for an access hatch. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do a proper extra door. No, here. Thank you. With split down the middle. I think I want. Probably actually want to. Let's go for some hinges. Oh, actually, if I be sensible about this and go and make. I could do this as a repeating pattern. That would be quicker, but I mean, it's only 4, so I don't necessarily need it to be perfect. Let's pull that by about that much. Yeah, close enough. Okay, oh, that. Can I? Thank you. Good grief. Just every 10 seconds it's like, hey, you wanted it to be like not what you wanted it, right? You wanted it to be something totally different. Minus 0.5, it just has to be. Oh wait, let's actually select the extrusion tool. Those hinges don't look much like hinges anymore. Well, what I could do is oh wait, oh, hang on. Forget that. Offset. Let's go for an offset. Oh no, I don't need to offset, I just need to go here. Yeah. That. 2D sketch on that thing. Boom. Right. So I project and include this box and also this box, and I make a semicircle in the middle, kind of there-ish. Wait, how big was that? Because then I should be able to pull this and that, pull it through to the other side as a join. They look an awful lot more like hinges now, don't they? And then I can probably round off the edges here. Fill it by 1. It was 1.5 was the radius, so it should be a 0.75. Yes. There we go. A proper escape hatch. With a thing in the corner that probably doesn't look like a handle, but it looks like something. Or should it be here? Here and here, like... Actually, if I just pull that up rather than as a... Does that go up or down? Who knows? Who knows? It's just surface detail, so it doesn't. While I may at some point go back to do a much more kind of detailed version of this where all of the stuff actually moves, you'll notice that this can't even possibly work because it opens up into the rail. It would have to open inwards, is what we're saying. Whether it can be opened from the inside or outside, it has to open inwards. So these would kind of drop down into the inside and then you'd climb out. And of course there's no ladder or a safety rail, because why would there be sensible things like ladders and safety rail? No, you just kind of climb out and jump off and fall 30 meters and the floor's down here somewhere. It's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. Is that enough detail? Is that the carriage done? How many live streams have I done on this? Has it been 10 yet? Just on the carriage? I don't think it's been 10. I'm basically only working on the suspension railway on live streams. I could add a ladder to the surface, but it's right over where the window is. I guess I could add the ladder here, but nah, that's too sensible. Having a ladder is just too sensible. It's not 40k enough. Oh, I put these silly wiry things. They need to go away. They don't exist. Because that's the command codget. Why the Emperor invented jetpacks, David says. And this is definitely... This is how Space Marines get to work on the train. This is definitely how this works. This is intended as a civilian tram sort of thing, and safety measures across every hive world in the Imperium are massively varying. They are all different, so I'm not adding a ladder just because it's funnier not to. If I was being sensible, I'd add a ladder, but it's just too funny to not add the ladder. Yeah. I think we're done. I think genuinely, well, the project is still got a long way to go, because I need to redo the rail, because this, as much as I like this kind of system, it's like these pegs are way too small. They're like 3D print that and it's just going to snap off. I need to make a more robust system there. I also need to make a series of rail sections so that we have straight lines, kind of curved ones and steeper curved ones, and I want to also have ones that change level so that you can have the tram at ground level for a ground platform, but then also raised up for kind of the more traditional suspension railway look. And I also need to make the gantry, which actually holds the rail above the surface. So there's a lot of work that needs to go into that. But the carriage, I mean, we have a functional carriage. We have a carriage that has enough detail and fun little bits and edges. Is there a vid screen to broadcast propaganda on the bottom? The floor, strangely enough, is actually a removable kind of sheet. If I make everything else invisible, or at least the carriage, you can see that the floor is just a plate And that is mainly so that... Oh, where are those wires? That one? That one. Yeah, don't want those. Should probably delete that. That is so that you, when printing, it's going to be easier to print this kind of shape with support, and you just get some support material on the inside rather than it being a solid block. But also it means that you can put in a motor and gearing system and a little wheel that pushes on the rail from the underneath, so you could actually have this move. That's a long way down the line. That's not something I'm really strongly thinking about yet. It is on my mind. I have a list of what I actually need to achieve on this project, and it's down at the bottom, but it's on there. But yes, this floor section, if you were to make an alternate version, and I could end up making an... You annoy me. I could make an alternate version with a screen. You would probably never see it though. Well, actually that's not true, because if you built it as a functional tram, or a near functional tram, this is on the gaming table, you're probably going to look at it from kind of this kind of angle. Kind of like this. You're going to be kind of looking down on it, or kind of to the side. But if you used it as like rubble broken terrain features, which is also a thing that you can do, well, maybe it'll be on its side. Maybe you'll be seeing it like this, and then you can have little propaganda screens and another access hatch and all sorts of stuff. Future parts of this project will involve an orc version of a carriage, alternate versions of human versions of carriage as well, military kind of air defense sort of thing that's kind of pointless, but the Imperium makes anyway. But this is the standard kind of civilian version, and this is the carriage part of it is now done. So I've been going for well over an hour and a half now. I will wrap up the stream in a few minutes. So if you would like to ask any questions in the chat, please do so now, or you will have to wait until next week to ask me some more questions. Before Foxymits jumps in and asks about the Back to the Brush, there has been some unfortunate delays, but Back to the Brush is on its way, and we will be releasing that this Friday. The normal publication of Back to the Brush is the last Friday of every month. We missed that unfortunately, but it'll just be a week late. So that'll be this Friday. So is it Wednesday now? 2 days. So we've got half of our heavy weapons team base. So you print 2 of those and plug them together and glue them together. We've got our shield with the nicely... Ooh, what happened there? The grid lines went away. Nice. We have our shield with a rounded front surface, which took far more effort to get that rounded surface than it should. And we have the carriage of our monorail done. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. I've answered a few questions along the way, so maybe there are no more. I should be live streaming again Wednesday night next week, which will be 7 PM UK time. And obviously I have a standard video every Saturday as well. Links in the description if you want to check out anything else that I get up to. And of course, thank you very much for watching. I'm ED-SKaR, and I always will be.